All right, everyone, we have our special guest here, Kenny Beecham, aka the King of the Fourth Quarter. How do you get that moniker? That's like a pretty big, I think, self-proclaimed moniker.
Listen, I came up with it when I was 14 years old in my parents' basement. So it wasn't like something I really thought about. The story goes, I'm playing a game of 2K and I'm down by like 20 points heading into the fourth quarter. And that one time I came back, I'm like, you know what? I'm 1-0 here. That's my name from here on out.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. And so I have a number of questions. I think the first question is, I don't know how old you are, but you're definitely a very young guy, and you're 24 years old, and you built a pretty big following in sports, which is traditionally an old person's game, right? Like, especially when you think about media and sports, like when I go watch ESPN or any of these channels, these people are old and they're talking about sports. And it felt like it's always been guarded by those people. How did you break in and be such a force in this industry at such a young age?
I think it's right place, right time, right? I think a lot of the fans in the league that I'm a fan of, the NBA, are super young. And it was just about being at the right place. I think that the reason some of the viewers like me more than maybe some of the people on TV is that I'm never going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to force topics that you might see on TV. Who's the GOAT? Like, that's never been a conversation I cared about. And people see right through those type of things. And I think that my audience sees how genuine I can be and the passion I have for talking about basketball. And that's where they gravitate to.
That's interesting. And then what do you because you have a really large following across all your platforms. What's the rise of the following? So like a lot of these people, who listening have brands, are trying to build personal brands. Like, how did you build such a big following at such a young age for a category that is typically not young?
Right. I wish there was some type of formula I can give out to everyone, but it's more about, for me at least, when it comes to the YouTube platform, when it comes to talking about sports, I just always try to put together the best content possible in the realm of the game. I've seen people do what I do, but I was like, I can do that, but even better. Whether it be video quality, getting the best kind of cameras, or just studying the game of basketball, I've always tried to be better than the person that was before me. And I wish there was some type of formula, because I get asked stuff like this very often. I just decided to do things that I like. And the YouTube algorithm took over. People started to find the channel. And then that's just how simple it can be sometimes to grow an audience.
And so if you were to start from scratch today, would you still go on YouTube, or would you go on TikTok, or would you go on Snapchat? What would you do?
I would definitely say YouTube. I don't know about the monetization on those other platforms, but I know YouTube is king for monetization. Like, I've done a lot of different projects solo. Like, we're working on something called Game that's launching the 28th, which should be super exciting. But I've always had the YouTube monetization to fall back on. So like, if all of my other adventures fail, I know for sure I can upload a video, it can get 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 views, and I can be able to pay my bills. I don't think it's the same thing for TikTok. I don't think it's the same thing for Snapchat. I don't think it's the same thing for Instagram. YouTube has always been king.
Wow. I need to go back to YouTube.
Yeah. Shit. What the fuck are you doing on TikTok?
Why am I doing a podcast? I should go back to YouTube. But yeah, that's super, super interesting. And then, basketball is in a really interesting place, because it almost feels like sports have become very polarizing over the last year. When I think about what happened in the NFL with Kaepernick, and then I think about the last summer at the NBA with all the social justice kind of conversation, which brought to light a lot of the issues in America, a lot of people that obviously swing right feel like sports aren't a place for politics. I come here to enjoy my blah, 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 whatever. Do you think that actually had an impact on NBA ratings?
I think it can have an impact for sure. But I'm of the opinion that politics and sports have always been intertwined one way or another. It's just on the main stage now because some of the biggest names in the industry, LeBron James, and these are the type of people that they're voicing their opinions. I honestly do believe that even if you don't agree with some of the political issues or the political things that NBA players are fighting through or trying to showcase, you can still watch a basketball game. It's not like LeBron is at the free throw line with a Black Lives Matter shirt on. Yeah. So the people that are trying to use the political view to stop watching sports, it's just always been very confusing to me. And a lot of it, in my opinion, is not very political. Saying the statement Black Lives Matter or wearing a shirt that says Black Lives Matter is not a political point, you know? And the people that are annoyed by that, I think the NBA is completely okay with losing that type of viewership because they know that the message itself is more important than maybe the ratings.
Yeah, and then I think the challenge becomes, I'm a huge NBA fan. I'm going to watch it, and I appreciate what all the players are doing. The person that we need to understand what's going on isn't watching the damn sport.
That is also true.
And so that's where I get, like, I see people on social media particularly so angry that players have an opinion. Do you believe it's because it's black players have an opinion? Or if it was a white player with an opinion, would that matter too? Because it's mind-boggling to me that people are so angry about it.
I think it does play a part for sure. But I also think that they're so accustomed to players being just players because players didn't have an outlet back in the day. You know, if we're talking about the 80s, the 90s, or even before then, they were on TV to watch basketball, baseball, football, then they went home. But now we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we have all these different platforms to understand the players deeper than a guy shooting 40% from three.
Yeah. And so you feel that, you know, there's been a lot of benefit of social media. So like the passive fan gets to watch highlights and experience NBA in one way on House of Highlights or anywhere on social media. And then you have your diehard fan that watches a game, consumes all the podcasts and the talk radio, probably watches your videos, and then, you know, kind of engages 360. Because to me, basketball culture seems bigger than ever, even though basketball, the ratings, which is the tool they use to kind of say, is this sport popular, is down.
Yeah, for sure. Because basketball, the NBA goes into music, it goes to fashion, it goes to culture. It's more than just the dribbling of basketball. And there's so many different ways to keep up now that, the ratings might be down, but I honestly believe that it's bigger than it's ever been. You know, like, I talk about basketball for a living. My views are as high as they've ever been in my lifetime. You know, it keeps going up and up. There's so many different creators, or I guess the Instagram followers, Twitter followers of these NBA players can be a testament to, like, the game is huge. The game is huge. And I know people that do not watch full games. They will go to House of Highlights, watch a 10-game recap on the NBA YouTube channel, or even watch my videos to keep up with the league, but they're still engaged with what's going on.
Yeah, I would probably consider myself that person. I would just... I'll watch the playoffs. I'll watch like the big games. Or if I hear my brother will text me, Steph's going off. And then I'll be like, all right, I got to go.
Watches the fourth quarter.
I watch the fourth quarter. And I think that's just, we consume content differently than we did like when I was growing up. It was a completely different era. And I think the big turning point to sports for me are two things. One, I think gambling is going to be like this enormous impact on sports like we've never seen before, because America doesn't want to admit it, but everyone's just gambling all day every day on sports. We just don't want to make it public that that's what's actually everyone doing. Second, there's this like insane thing that happened in the last 6 months with NBA Top Shot, which I think is so revolutionary because it just made the game even bigger, because it's you know, you can call it investing, you can call it gambling, you call it whatever it is. It's about money. And so when there's money involved, more people are engaged. What are your takes on gambling and NBA Top Shot?
Well, I think they're both. Gambling and NBA Top Shot is collecting or investing. It's all of that. And gambling just became illegal, or like live bets just became illegal here in Illinois. And I can't tell you how much fun me and my guys in the group chat have had just trying to figure out who can make the most money today on like live betting.
So how does that work? Because we don't have that. How does that work?
Oh, okay. So on some of the apps, I won't say the app name.
I
won't say the app name, but you can go to a specific game and say, hey, the over-under on Steph Curry tonight is 35.5 points.
Okay.
If he gets 36, you're up. If he gets 35 even, you're down. And you can pick a 8-leg parlay, and you can turn $10 to $1,000 depending on how extreme your bets can be. And it's fun. I'm be honest. I've lost a lot of money this year because of it, but it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
So betting has been great. NBA Top Shot is so crazy because even before NBA Top Shot was this big thing, me and my managers were in conversations with them, and I didn't see the vision.
Yeah.
I'm a very short-minded person when it comes to things. I want like instant gratification. Like investing has always been weird to me. That's why gambling's been so big to me, because I know at the end of the night, it's either I won $100 or I lost, $100. But we didn't see the vision, right? We're in the meeting and I'm like, it's fun. Highlights are cool, but I didn't understand it. Like I was in the company of like the people that was like, I can just watch that highlight on YouTube.
Yeah.
But it has grown to so much more. And now I wish that we were in on that thing. It's 6 months later and it's the biggest thing in the world. And I'm like, we just missed the prime opportunity to make a lot more money.
Yeah, I think you're still early. Like, I still feel like there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think the thing that I love about what you're doing is that, I don't know, what did you want to be when you grew up, when you were 14 years old?
I wanted to be a radio talk show host.
Holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you have a radio talk show voice too. Like, it just sounds like I'm like talking to
this guy's been doing it for 10 years. Yeah. Of course he's got it.
But I'm just saying, like, think about it. You're a 14, where'd you grow up? Chicago, you said?
Chicago, yeah.
So you're a 14-year-old kid in Chicago and you wanted to be a radio talk show host. That just seems impossible, when you're 14 years old. It literally seems impossible. And you have made this incredible career out of it. And that's like the beauty of what's happened. Like, we talk about decentralization a lot in finance with crypto, but it's also decentralization of everything. Like you can go build your own following and you get to talk about basketball all day for a living. That's fucking crazy. Like it's not like, and the thing about what you're doing is, which is very different than, let's say, a TikTok kid. The reason why is that TikTok kid is only going to look like that as a young person. You could potentially be doing this for the next 100 years, assuming you're a healthy guy. You're going to live a long, healthy life, and you get to do this forever. It's just so crazy to me that like you found your future already.
Yeah, I mean, you think about some of those radio jobs; they're lifelong jobs. Like they get in at 30, then they won't retire until they're 80 or they're on their deathbed. So some of the shows I used to listen to in Chicago when I was a kid 10 years ago are still hosts of the shows now. So it's like I can't compete with those things. So I have to figure out my own different avenue. And the way to get there was tough. I mean, like you said, I started 10 years ago. It wasn't until 3 to 4 years ago where it actually became a job, where it actually became a business. So I spent the first 6 years of this thing just doing things for free, trying to have fun, trying to find my voice and try to find my audience. But once we got an audience, I was like, we will not stop. I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to evolve myself and my content. And here we are now, 1 million subscribers and a lot of different projects we're working on.
That's amazing. What are some of the coolest things you've been able to do?
So I work with Bleacher Report, right? And the working with Bleacher Report has been so great because they didn't find me, I found them. Right? I was listening to a podcast with Omar of House of Highlights. He no longer works there, but he's the creator of House of Highlights. He's on, I think, JJ Redick's podcast. And he's like, yeah, we got this Instagram account that has X amount of followers. We're doing Twitter a little bit, but we want to get into the YouTube game. And at this point, I have 200,000 subscribers. So I have a solid following over on YouTube. And I'm like, bro, if they want to start YouTube, I do YouTube. I do NBA YouTube. So I shoot them an email, boom. Doug, the general manager over there, hits me back, and then we start this conversation. So being in that first meeting with them was huge. And them seeing me at the time, I was a 21-year-old kid, seeing me and be like, he can be our guy, it gave me so much confidence. So then we get to the point where I'm interviewing NBA players. The first one was Miles Turner of the Indiana Pacers. And I told him after we get done with the interview, like, man, you're the first player I've sat down with and talked to. And he was like, man, I wouldn't be able to tell. So that's when I knew, okay, I can actually do this thing full time, and I actually have a future in this if I'm sitting down with the player that gets interviewed all the time and he feels like I've been doing this for as long as ever, right? So we have that one. The biggest highlight, other than us launching Called Game tomorrow, the 28th, which is like my life's work, I sat down with Shaq, Kenny the Jet Smith, and Charles Barkley, interviewed them. The funniest dudes ever. And that was like, that has been the highlight. There's a picture behind me here of us four sitting together. Like, it's on my wall. It will never go away for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, that's my favorite. That's the only sports show I'll watch, is that one on television, because they're just so funny. So tell us about Call Game. Give us the details on it.
So yeah, like I said, I work with Bleach Report, and as great as it is, I've always been a creative. I've always been the guy that wanted to have his own vision on things and try to do things the way I want to. And with these bigger companies, you have to send it to your producers. They have to send it to the GM. The GM has to send it to this guy for anything to get approved. And I was like, I can still work with them by doing things independently. So this was my first idea of being as independent as possible, where we built an entire set in Santa Monica with the Called Game name. And we have players coming through to do like interview-based conversations. And I think right now we filmed like 5 or 6 episodes. We got them banked up. The idea of it is still evolving, right? Because I'm still learning how to interview people. I'm still trying to figure out how to be entertaining with someone else, because it's always been a one-man show here. But it's launching the 28th, and I cannot be more excited for it, because I think my audience is going to love it. And I also think that we have this opportunity to reach a different audience inside of it.
And so is it only on YouTube? Is it on any other platform?
So to be on YouTube, we'll do podcast networks as well. And then we'll do like clip outs similar to like Joe Rogan's show, give you 7 minutes of the show if that's the only thing you care about. We'll do TikTok. We're going to hit all socials, but the main spot is YouTube. Yep.
Amazing. And so I have 2 parting questions. One is, who is going to win the NBA title this year?
Listen, if everything goes well and health is not an issue, the Brooklyn Nets are hard to beat. But that's not really the case, since Kevin Durant can't stay healthy. He's playing 3 games, they're missing 3 games. I still am a firm believer of the Lakers. It's hard to bet against LeBron. It's hard to bet against Anthony Davis as a group. And then some of their other players, like Dennis Schroeder, has turned himself from like a good point guard to a really, really good point guard, a good defensive guy. They got depth now. I'm excited about them. But like if it's healthy 7-game series, bro, it's got to be Brooklyn. You can't guard all the firepower that they have over there.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Suns?
I love the Suns. Chris Paul is my favorite.
They're in a great position right now.
They are, but they not messing with the Lakers in a series, bro.
Okay.
Chris Paul's a good friend of mine, and we did an incredible collaboration with him with my brand 5-4. But yeah, I don't know if they're beating the Lakers.
Yeah, Chris Paul's my guy. And then, I love that team.
Yeah, they're really good, and they're fun to watch. And finally, words of wisdom that you can impart on all of us today. It could be about anything.
Do it. Like, everything I've done so far is because I had an idea and I just went for it. I went all in. And maybe that's not the best advice to give somebody, to go all in on something, but if it's your dream, it's your passion, I've always been somebody that tell you to do it. Like I said, 6 years of my life of doing this thing, I was not getting paid a cent. I was doing a retail job. I wasn't doing anything. And then I got that first YouTube paycheck for $200. I was like, I'm quitting my job, bro. I'm quitting my job to focus on this full time. It worked. It worked. It worked. And I continue to try to do things independently, because these are the ideas. And like, if I didn't just do it originally, I'd probably still be working in that vitamin shop next to Walgreens. Like, I would always tell people that starting a podcast, starting anything, have a vision and do it.
I love it. That's incredible advice. And I like that you shared your real story, because I think a lot of people like to sugarcoat like the last 10 years and just like to talk about what's happened right now. But all these things take such time and discipline. So really great. When are you making it out to LA next so we can hang?
I'm there the middle of May, like May 12th is the next time I'm there. We got some shoots planned. I'll be there for like a week, man. I'll be there for a long time.
It's my birthday.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe
There we
we'll
go.
take you out for your birthday.
Maybe.
Well, please hit us up when you're in town. We'd love to meet in person. But like, yeah, your story is incredible. And like, you have such a bright future ahead of you, especially in sports. Sports just needs to be shaken up by young people. When I turn on the TV and I see those people, I just lose. It's just snooze fest. Like, it needs to change.
Yeah, I agree. That's why, I just don't even watch those things anymore. I always tell people to come watch me. Don't watch them, watch me.
Yeah, amazing. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for your time. And yeah, we'll be in touch.
Yeah, thanks for having me.